We call this meeting to order, February 24th, the Sewer and Water Commission of the Town of Walpole being held at the Delaney Treatment Plant on Washington Street, time being 6:30. We have a published agenda, and we'll start the meeting off with minutes. We have minutes from February 10th.
I have a suggestion.
Yes, Mr. Abbott.
All the references on the appointment, the 6:45 appointment, I don't think there's any reason to capitalize Wheeling on Wheeling Water. I think a lowercase, just a minute. Other than that, they looked okay to me.
Okay, so Mr. Abbott objects to the big wheel. He wants the small
Small
wheel.
wheel, right, exactly. If there's no other
Anything else?
issues, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of February 10th with the suggestion.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. So 3-0-0. Okay, moving right along, we have the superintendent's report.
So, 2 weekends ago on President's Day, we had a power outage event over at our Willis plant. A tree came down, knocked down 2 poles, or 1 pole, and the top of another pole, transformers on the ground. Eversource came out, was great. We had to replace transformers. We were actually out of power for 48 hours. Our generators ran well.
Wow.
We didn't have to alter our production or anything. We ran like usual, which was great.
So what, it knocked down the direct line, the power line?
Yes, so the tree came down and it pulled down the wires, knocked 1 pole over, transformer, and the wires came down so hard that it pulled the top of the pole before it. So, you know, it was basically about a 2-day turnaround
Yeah,
for them to
wow.
drill a new pole. The transformer, with a little bit of issue, they're 3-phase transformers, so instead of 1 big one, we have 3 smaller ones. We've been noticing there's been transformer issues now whenever we need replacements.
Okay.
Here at the Delaney plant, we've started our PFAS remediation project. The first step is piloting. We're working with Aquagenics and Blue Leaf. We're looking at 3 different medias to remove PFAS at this plant. One is carbon, one is a resin, and the other is an absorption. So after this 6-month pilot, we'll have the data to make the best decision going forward for the media to actually remove the PFAS from this plant.
Who observes that? Our staff or outside consultants?
So we have Aquagenics, Lenny McCool. He is the engineer who's going to be working in conjunction with Blue Leaf, which is the actual physical hardware of the media's doing the work, or the media's doing the work. So he's the one going to be analyzing, making adjustments as we go, recommendations, and all of that.
Okay.
Where is this being done? Inside the plant?
Yes, it's going to be about 12 feet long by about 4 feet wide. We found an area in the back.
Okay.
So we're going to take water post-filtration. It's going to be going through the medias, and the water after it's going to be perfectly clean. So it's actually going to go back into our waste basin. We're going to reuse it.
Oh. And what
Can you just explain one in parallel to the board?
So also in conjunction with this, we are working on a design for this remediation. So this is obviously going to be another building. That's one option. One option we kicked around is going to be addition to this building, but it's going to be quite a large addition. Part of that is we are going to be. Part of that is in parallel. We're going to be working with Weston and Sampson, and we are going to be looking at a SRF application for the summer. So, you know, the PFAS pilot starting in April, we're hoping by the summertime we have a good idea where we're going. They're planning for the worst just for the application. In the application process, we won't know where we stand until 2026, but it's important that we at least get our initial application in the summer So as things get rolling in the future, it's a possibility we may be eligible for a 0% loan.
Are
Yeah,
these,
yeah, and what was the name of that group again? You said would be eligible for, that you gave a,
You talk the SRF,
SRF. Yeah, what does that stand for?
SRF.
state revolving funds?
State revolving fund. It's the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust.
Okay.
They're the ones that give like interest-free loan or sometimes grants.
Is this something that, like when we had the TCE, that the carbon has to be replaced and, it was swapping in and out? And
So part of the kickoff meetings, we had me, Scott, and Rick. We talked about different things we wanted. Part of what we're looking at is the run times.
Yeah,
So part of this, we are piloting carbon, so we'll know, with our PFAS levels, we should expect, full replacement after 6 months, 8 months, year and a half, versus going with a resin. Can we get a year, year and a half, 2 years versus the absorption?
yeah.
So at the end of the pilot, we're going to have the 3 media to compare, and they're also going to be giving us estimated life costs, operation costs. That's going to be part of the whole factor, deciding which media we go with.
And there's no seasonality effect on that? You're just going to run them linear, one after the other?
So the biggest effect is total organic carbon on the filters. So we've been collecting data. We can also vary our water quality here. And it doesn't vary too much, but it will give us a little indication that, seasonably how much is going to change.
Okay.
Dry years versus wet years. And, what we're being told is 6 months is a good application for this to.
Okay.
Next is our billing platform. We met with our billing company reps, Eunice, Tyler. Our current billing platform is about 20 years old. This next version that's available is called UBCIS, and a lot of communities around us have already mitigated to it. It has a lot of tasks that will make a lot of things easier for us. A lot less clicking, a lot less double checking. It's more streamlined. Also, the finance department really likes it because it opens up a ton of options for them. So this is a high priority for us. We're hoping to get this whole conversion done this year.
I'd be interested in any enhancements to their reporting capabilities.
So during the demo, there's already a few of them that we don't have, that are reports that are hard for us to pull right now, which are just a click away.
Yeah.
It's because our platform's 20 years old, so there's been advancements over the last 20 years. And one thing we're also trying to include is forecast trending. So we can just plug in, different scenarios, and it can easily put out a projection for us with our water and sewer.
Will this be monthly billing?
So this is more to stay where we are right now. We are not moving.
All I do is get complaints about the intervals. And, the state has recommended that we do monthly billing. I don't know why we don't do multi-billing. Every other utility that I have uses monthly billing, but the water and sewer is not monthly billing. And if you notice, especially the sewer charge is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which reflects as a total bill, and it becomes pretty large. I think people need to have a monthly billing so they can see how much water they're using, that they can understand that they have better control, and instead of being surprised every period, whatever the period is, that they owe all this money.
So in conjunction with this, I'm sure some of you guys have seen the new water metering software. It does give owners the ability to view their water usage more on demand.
Yeah.
And you can always pay your bill monthly. You don't have to pay quarterly. You can pay in advance.
Okay.
The next piece, I guess, staying on billing, we met with Styles Company, the Badger Meter Beacon software rep. We had a complete front office training, And one of the biggest things that we just accomplished is we have seamless uploading and downloading of the meter reads to and from our billing software. So up until this point, we were getting a new system where we were manually punching the reads in. Now it's just a click of the button, everything downloads in the computer system, and everything reads. On the new Beacon software, we're up to 561 endpoints, and we are at 99.6% water systems reading. We just have one meter with an issue, which should be resolved relatively soon.
What does that mean, 561? Is that the number of new meters out?
New meters and
Okay.
endpoints. We are converting a few of the older meters that are hard to swap out right now to just Badger endpoints.
Oh, okay.
So like, for instance, we swapped out an older Badger meter and put a newer endpoint on it. We're also, I think we're looking at doing an AMCO too. So, some of the larger meters are kind of expensive right now, and we don't want to spend the money right now if we don't have to, placing the whole, the brass body. So we're just swapping out the endpoint.
So Bill, the endpoint replaces the MTU
Oh, okay.
in simple terms.
So, but I was also just wondering, so of the 8,000 customers, we have 561
Yes.
okay, that's what I was trying to figure out, what that,
Oh, yes. Yeah, 561 customers on the new Beacon,
yeah.
new Badger meter with the cellular endpoints. On the water break side, this past Monday, we had a 6-inch water main break lengthwise on Coney Street between Pleasant and Killeen Street. The break happened right about 7 a.m. We had the water back on by 2:30. The road crew did a great job.
Nice.
And that's it for the update.
Well, to go back to your, the state has done studies that show that the monthly billing is more responsive to conservation. And you're saying that because we have a new system, that's just as good as that, right?
Well, it shows you your water use.
No, I'm asking you, do you think that's just as good as monthly billing?
So in my opinion, the only advantage of the monthly billing is you're paying, instead of paying your bill 4 times a year, you're paying it 12 times a year, correct?
That's correct. You're paying it every month, like all the other utilities, right? It becomes a reoccurring bill that you can budget.
And I think in the past, we looked at it, and it was, quite a bit more effort on our part.
Well, there is another way. Some utilities have estimated bills in the interperiod. Have you looked at that?
I know we do estimate, and it's not the greatest for when we catch up. The owner can either get a larger bill, or we could be backwards. So
You were talking about forecasting, right?
yes, well, we were looking at forecasting rates, forecasting different operating
Well,
costs.
why can't that be used to forecast what the estimated bill would be used? But when they estimate my utility bills, the ones that do, they're pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, for people that are consistent, it's usually very close.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying. And I think that we really need to consider that. It's something that the Commonwealth wants us to do, the conservation people want us to do, but somehow we're reluctant to do it.
Well,
And the people, I think, want it.
Well-
They'd like to see their bill every month.
Well, right now, we have these 2 things going on, a billing upgrade and a meter upgrade. I think once we get through those, I think we'll be in a better situation to,
What you're saying, you're too busy
Revisit.
now to do this, right?
well,
This was brought up before, though. and
Oh,
the
yeah,
Commissioners
I
didn't
bring
go
this
along
up.
with it.
I've been bringing this up for 10 years.
So, I know, well, I think it's duly noted. I mean,
Yeah, and it's
We'll get it
getting
in the
no
hopper, and
place.
he's got two
I just
things
bring it
going.
up again.
Okay.
If I don't bring it up, it doesn't get
I get it.
thought about.
Sure. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Steve. Okay. Jim Johnson, the Town of Walpole. FY '26 budget information. Right on time.
So back on January 22nd, I provided the commission with a memo regarding the recommended budget, which includes revenues and expenses. On the revenue side, obviously, I know you won't be setting your rates if you follow past practice. It's usually maybe first, second meeting in June.
Town administrator, you're not coming through the mic.
Am I coming through, Patrick?
I'm not, this is what the people are hearing at
I'll
home.
speak up. Okay, that's what, okay.
That's, go ahead, say something.
Okay, test.
That's better.
Okay. So what you have is the FY26 recommended budget as drafted. On the sewer side, totals $6,512,785. And on the water side, $6,506,022. So does the commission have any specific questions in regards to the recommended budgets? However you'd like to handle this going forward.
Was there any other summary you want to give about any specific areas where there's
Yeah, I
more
do.
than usual increase, or?
No, so on the administrative side, we juggled some things around as far as the administrative assistant staff and the assistant sewer and water superintendent. In the past, it was all on the water side. Going forward, we just looked at it to be more equitable. We actually split it between sewer and water 50-50. That was the significant change on the personnel side of things.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
I'm concerned about the indirect costs. I noticed that this year, we're gonna go up on indirect costs over $250,000. Okay? And if my math is correct, that's almost 18-20%. How come we're going up that much, 18%, when I don't understand, these are indirect costs now. These are not, we have a project or something that we have to, that's coming out of the budget for other things. Tell me how this indirect cost can be justified at $250,000.
So one item that specifically comes out, I think Commissioner Fastenal, what did you just say? It's going up 18% or 17?
What, 17 point something?
Okay, so our health insurance, unfortunately, is increasing by 14%. One of the major factors is the indirect costs of health insurance for the sewer and water employees. So that's a major contributing factor right
This
there.
is town stuff.
Yes.
It's not water stuff.
Yes, Commissioner.
This is the ancillary services you give us.
No, that's not correct.
What are the indirect costs?
So the indirect cost includes the health
For the
insurance.
people at home, would you explain what indirect costs are?
The indirect cost, the fees, I'll give you an example. My time, Director Mattson's time, could be the finance department's time, the time that the people in town hall and around town vehicle maintenance spend on addressing the buildings, the vehicles, the HR function of the sewer and water
And
department.
you're saying they spend $250,000.
I am saying that.
On-
Now, our health insurance budget, now, that is part of your indirect cost, but is for the sewer and water employees. You do not pay the health insurance for the
I
sewer and
would-
water employees.
I understand, well, the health insurance should be in the budget. That's a direct cost.
That is a direct cost the town pays for as
And I'm
part
not
of,
talking about direct costs now.
that is part of your indirect cost,
I'm
though,
talking
sir.
about indirect costs.
That is part of your indirect cost.
Why did you put them in there
Mr.
instead of
Chairman?
on direct costs?
Could I ask a question? Sure. Jim, I noticed the breakdown of what made up the cost. Could you just elaborate? The administration
He took it away from me.
went up to 38.7%. The highway went up 264%. DPW administration went up 31%. And building maintenance went up 34%. The others are, 4%, whatever it is. So it seems that there's something special. I'm guessing MWRA, work on a lot of the work that had to be done with you talking to the Norwood town manager and that sort of thing.
Sure, so I can address those items. You mentioned administration, DPW, expenses, highway expenses. Am I missing one, Bill?
No, building maintenance went up quite a bit.
I know the first three off the top of my head. So on the administrative side, it has risen a little bit there. To address, actually, I tried to capture some of the time the assistant town administrator spends on sewer and water projects. And you're right, a lot of the function on my end of it, specifically a lot of the HR stuff that we've had to address over the last year. On the DPW and the highway side, we've actually charged, instead of doing indirect costs on stormwater management, we didn't fully move all the stormwater management aspect of it over to the sewer and water budgets, but we did move a portion of it over to there. And just to get back to what I was talking with Commissioner Fasenello with, the indirect costs, the benefits and expenses we provide for the sewer and water employees. If that's something you want to take on in your budget, we could certainly consider that next year, like we've done with the legal costs. As far as this year, it's coming in at $635 on the water side and $181,000 on the sewer side.
See the finance is like 145, and that's billing, right, I assume?
Yes.
Why isn't that a budget item, billing? That's cost of doing business. Why isn't that there?
Because they're employees down the treasurer collector's office.
But there should be a line item saying that this is what the billing is costing the people.
It says finance, TC, treasurer collector.
Yeah, why is it in indirect costs though? Why isn't it as a budget item that we know that's how much money we're gonna spend on that particular item? I mean, and
It is a budget item. It's a budget item that's been in there for 30-plus years.
and it's you have a budget limit of 2.5. Why are these things all above that?
I do not have a budget limit
Well,
of
you should
2.5.
have.
That's
what the
incorrect.
people voted for.
That is not correct, sir.
They didn't vote for 2.5.
No, sir, can I explain it to answer your question? So,
Yeah,
we
but
have a
you can
Proposition
explain. You
2.5
don't have
override.
Permission to explain. Go right
We have a
ahead.
Proposition 2.5 override. Every city and town in Massachusetts, that's one factor of the budget. Other factors of the budget may include indirect costs. They include new growth, any projects that may come on. They also include local receipts, and they also include state revenue, such as Chapter 70 and local aid that comes to city and towns. So it's not just 2.5%. And I know you and I have had this conversation, I think at least 3 times at commission meetings.
Maybe more. But the
Probably.
people voted in a referendum for 2.5. And I think it's my duty, because I'm elected by the people, to try and honor that. And that's as simple as that. And when I see these numbers, I get perturbed, because they're more than 2.5.
I am also very much concerned over a 14% increase in our health insurance cost.
Yes, then it should be a line item.
It is a line item.
Where?
It's right here in health insurance benefits, sewer and water expenses.
Well,
It's
how
listed
come-
on the sheet.
But you're just saying that's under the indirect costs.
It is. It's listed in the sheet I provided to the commissioners on
Oh.
Friday.
No. If it's under a line item, why is it listed under indirect costs?
Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the health insurance, workman's compensation, those costs are actual costs. They're not estimates based on percentages. Those are actual costs that are paid by the town for sewer and water.
Okay, you know, people can't hear you. And people should know what you're saying.
Their actual cost is what he was saying. We have specifically broken out for the sewer and water employees. I'm not getting into it here because it would violate HIPAA. But each employee who takes health insurance through your lines, who are sewer and water employees, we have it broken out. We know what type of health insurance they take, what contribution they have. It's specifically broken out. As far as your property and casualty and your workers' comp, that is also specifically broken out. The other items, such as administration, DPW, treasurer collector, those are all estimates based upon a percentage of the overall costs. So like treasurer collector, the finance, treasurer collector, it's 15% of the budget on the water side and 8% of the budget on the sewer side. And this was vetted 2.5 years ago by the Pioneer Institute, which sewer and water commissioners paid for this study to have them come in and do this. This was presented to you. I knew you were sitting on this.
I would like to see these things spelled out, because otherwise it just is, to me, not transparent.
It's
And I think there's a
It's
better
been
way
spelled
we
out
can
for
do
you.
this.
We will provide you with the information again. I have no problem whatsoever
We
in doing
can
that.
put it out so that people can see, okay, if it costs whatever it costs for health insurance.
This
okay,
was
is
presented
that
to you.
something
They
that we
came
should
in and
know?
presented it to
But when
you.
you lump it in, to other things, it's not there anymore. We need to have specific information.
You have that information, and I will give it to you
I don't
again.
think so. Okay. Yeah, well, we're gonna go back and forth on that, but we don't have it. And I
That's
wish
not
we
correct.
did. And,
Could you, Jim, just three categories that kind of stick out a little bit. Maybe you can, as a new staff member or something like that. In the administration, it was up 38% approximately, and the DPW administration was up 31%. And building maintenance was up 34%. Are there any particular things that happened there that?
Yes. I know on the
In those three.
on the administration side, the overall percentage assessment, I'll specifically give myself, on the water side went from 10 and 7% to 15 and 10%. For the assistant, it went from 10 and 3% to 15 and 7%. As I mentioned, we spent an incredible amount of time on a lot of HR issues over the last 2+ years between negotiating the contracts. We've looked at the contributions there. That's the reasoning for increasing there, in addition to the connection for the MWRA, working with Weston and Sampson and the personnel in Norwood. On the DPW side, I know the same can be said for the director. We went from 25% and 10% on the 25% on the water side, 10% on the sewer side, to 30% and 12%. Those are two increases. And on the building maintenance, do you remember on that one? I don't recall that one off the top of my head.
I don't know if we get custodial duties for the 3 buildings.
Actually, no, I know exactly what it is. In the past, the commissioners were not charged for, they were charged 0 for the building maintenance superintendent himself. Those increases have gone from 0 to 15 and 15%. Just for the superintendent himself.
For the superintendent?
Yes,
And they do the maintenance of all our buildings?
yes.
Okay, that was my question. Bill, you have anything else?
No, I've got my answers to my question.
Okay, now you have a meeting with the FinCom March 3rd, is that correct?
Yes, on Monday evening. So I know they'll likely, you're all welcome to attend. It would be great if you could be there. They're going to be discussing these budgets, which I don't remember what articles they are. So the sewer and water FY25 adjustment budget, if needed. Right now, I don't think we need anything, but we still have some time left. In the sewer and water FY26 budgets, they'll be discussing those in addition to Walpole Media Corp, their budget, and a few other budgets that evening.
What was the date?
Week from tonight,
A week
3rd.
tonight.
So what I respectfully request, because I know they're going to be asking for it, as the Sewer and Water Commission voted on the articles, specifically their budget articles for FY26, if the commissioners are so inclined, I'd ask for a vote on that tonight. If not, I can advise them that there was no vote.
Okay, do you feel comfortable without 2 members here voting, Bill?
I do.
Okay,
And if you'd like a motion,
yeah,
I would move that we approve the FY26 water budget for an amount of $6,506,22. And
okay.
for the sewer, or do you want to take it as 2 separate?
Yeah, probably do it separate. I'll second that. Any discussion?
is this a divided motion?
Is it a divided?
Yes.
Did you divide it?
Yeah, divide.
Yes, this is
divided.
water only,
For water
right
first,
now.
okay?
What?
And do you have anything to say? No.
No, I'll vote.
Okay, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No,
Opposed?
no. I need more data. I'm not voting for this. It's a pig in the poke in my,
On the
opinion.
sewer, make a motion for the FY26 sewer budget, $6,512,785.
Okay. I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay,
Thank you.
300. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Now, Mr. Chairman, based on what we voted for, that we are approving the budget, on the, at the end of each, whether the sewer or water, we have projections of what the water rate increase and sewer increase. I don't know what, how you want to do, or just wait until, sometime in June to do that, or otherwise, but there was really two items within this information. One was the total budget, and then how you get there,
Well,
so.
yeah, we'll have to figure out how we get there now. I mean,
Well,
that's,
I mean, they have
yeah, I mean,
a
that's
thing.
his proposal. We can
Right.
adjust that to
So, okay, so you want
to
to,
redistribute the weight
yeah.
of the increase. to the
No, I
different-
was just asking, you want to do something now, or do you wish to wait later? I'm just asking. I'm
I
not
think we should
suggesting.
wait. I don't think, I think the finance committee knows that's a guideline, that isn't our
Yeah.
rate setting.
Okay.
They're invited to our rate setting hearing.
Oh, yeah.
Has this been changed a little bit since I have, the difference is $363,000 from last year. Now, he said something else. And I don't understand. He had a different number than I did. So is this current, or am I
That is
dealing
what's
with?
going to the FinCom.
This is going, this one here. This,
Yeah.
is this one,
This is the one, well, I would go in the
What
one
are you,
that is
you're
dated
adding-
January
you're adding these up
22nd.
here? These-
this one here, the town administrator's recommendation,
Right.
right? And he's got, 2,046,000. Is that correct? Is that number what you have?
I believe that's a combined number.
We did the total
The
number.
the water's six,
I'm
6506.
just looking at the,
So which page and what,
okay. I'm just looking at a number to make sure it's the same page. Okay,
Here's the
is
total,
this
yeah.
number, no, on the front page here.
Oh, you think the thing was changed?
I think there may have
Okay,
been,
hold on.
I might have a,
What date do you have on there? Look at the, is there a date on that?
it's 122.
and that's
All right,
what's
the
in our
recent one. This
package.
was 12/22. This, no,
I got
122.
122.
Okay, yeah, you got. the
Everyone
same.
got a copy of the 221 memo, right, that went up via email on Friday?
This is the same, this is the
Okay.
same. Oh, okay.
All right. Moving on.
Moving on, okay.
We have, you want to take over, Bill? I guess Mr. Petrosi is here for a 7:50. Oh, you're a little early, but do you want to wait to see if somebody shows up?
Somebody coming?
We don't, Pradeep is not going to be here. He called in, he had to go out of town unexpectedly. The other gentleman, sometimes he comes, sometimes he doesn't.
Well, if you had recused yourself, there's no quorum. I don't know.
Can I just ask, I've watched on, I think, either the ZBA or the planning board, if you just purchased some other property and adding a few, so that's what I've seen, okay.
Yeah, we can have an informal discussion if John will recuse himself.
Okay, if you want to have a discussion, I'll go out of the room.
Is that his
We'll just have an informal discussion.
Dupee St.
I'll have to
I
come
haven't
back
seen
and
any
get a vote.
information
Huh?
on it. I haven't seen any information.
It's okay, I don't mind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Up to you guys.
well, I've seen what you've presented, I don't know, so I'm
All
aware
right,
of
let
it,
me just go through it. John,
Yeah.
you're up.
yeah.
Don't want anybody to get in trouble. You're in trouble. Thanks for coming in, Paul. I got the two most senior members here.
You know, we can't vote on this.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying, I'm just gonna have an
All right, just to let you know.
We'll have an informal discussion and then, I'll have to come back to see if I need to get, I don't really, I don't know that I need a vote per se, but,
But usually what happen is that the appropriate board, whether it be ZBA or planning board, would ask, do we have any comments?
I know, well, I don't
And
know
so
why.
these would be the,
Right, I don't know why they haven't done that yet, so I'm taking
Yeah.
the initiative to do it. Because we filed this application
quite a while ago.
Well, I know, that's why I said, I was asking, because it's the stuff I was pretty sure that I had seen.
So essentially, for you folks, so this is the 40B project off of Dupee Street. It was approved for 8 detached single-family homes, of which 2 would be affordable. And it's going to be serviced by municipal water, municipal sewer. And part of our
Why don't we have a plan for this?
part of our agreement
Huh?
is at the end of the project, we're looping the water.
He didn't provide one.
I must have felt very friendly that night.
He just wanted to get.
So
I can't-
so during the interim period, this homeowner here approached us and asked us if we would were interested in purchasing his property. So we said, sure, why not? And so we reached an agreement, and now we're in for a modification. And the modification, oh, what the hell happened? On the leg. So we ended up reaching an agreement to purchase that property, and we're in for an amendment with the zoning board right now of the comprehensive permit. And so essentially what that does is it adds 3 additional homes to the project. The existing home in this location is gonna get torn down, and then 4 other homes will be built, and we'll be relocating the detention basin down a little bit further. So my purpose in being here tonight was there was a comment made by the peer reviewer regarding water and sewer demand, as if this could be an issue. So I'm basically here tonight, and we'll come back at a subsequent night to get the board's view that there's no issue relative to the demand for water and sewer. And that's really kind of it in a nutshell. So I was hoping that I would get some comments.
I know what this is.
We go back with the zoning board on March 5th. When is your next meeting?
The 10th, March 10th.
Okay, so if you can put me on that meeting, I'm sure nothing's gonna happen with this permit yet.
So you're taking out two homes and replacing them with, how many?
There's 4. So there's a house with a detached garage. So the net difference is 3.
3
3
additional homes.
additional homes.
Yeah, okay.
And we're running a new water, right now, these 2 homes are serviced by individual water services. So we're running a new 8-inch water main, because now I'm so good at it, since I did all the work on Brook Lane, I figured I might as well do this too. So I'm running this 8-inch water main down all the way through the project and then looping it at the end. I think it's, and we're also running a sewer line as well. So that's essentially it. Like I said, I was hoping to get some formal action, but I'll come back on the 10th, and then hopefully you guys will be able to vote. If we just need the other 2 members, that's all, because.
Okay, well, thank you for that. The manager of the Walpole Public Works, do you have anything to say about this? This is in Walpole Heights. This is off, I understand where this is. Do you have any comments you'd like to
No,
tell us about?
it's pretty straightforward.
Would you use the mic, please?
Oh, sorry.
Sure, it's pretty straightforward. It's not really a difficult project in any sense of the word, and it's not gonna put, in my opinion, any strain on our utilities.
My concern, I haven't seen the plan, so, but we know the elevation of this area is quite high. It's actually right next to the highest point in Walpole.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about the circulation of the water. Is there any way, and I can't see them.
loop at the end.
Plans there, any way to
We are
make
looping.
sure this is connected
It's
both
looping
ways?
through.
So there's an existing water main on Victoria Lane that runs through this easement here.
Okay,
We are going to be looping it to that,
okay, so the water's coming from 27
up and
and
around.
Jury?
Right,
Well, that's good, that's excellent, okay.
okay, so we kept you in mind, because I knew that would be a big question of yours.
Well, yeah, well, I live up the street, so my water pressure is 20 pounds per square inch
Yeah, that's pretty low.
at the Silcock.
Yeah, well, we can give you a booster pump.
No charge?
How much are they? Oh, that's not, you can't talk that way
No,
in public.
so it's, I mean, it's,
Well, thank you very much.
we got a loop.
No, I'm talking about a
and
pump
we have a
station in the
loop,
ground.
and
Oh,
you're
yeah,
basically
no, well,
taking
yeah.
2 houses out and replacing it with 3.
Yeah, one, replacing it with 3.
Right.
Right. So that's really it. I'll come back on the 10th, and we'll just hope that the other 2 members are here so that we can have some sort of all I'm looking for is some feedback to the zoning board, because they didn't receive anything, didn't receive any commentary.
Yeah, I don't believe they've been asked. I mean, they were originally asked, but I don't believe they've been asked
Since then.
comment on this.
Yeah, this came in basically in January,
Yeah.
so we've gone a month and a half.
So-
No, actually December.
So given the concern of the relatively low pressure, would you be opposed to having a hydraulic model run?
I don't know what a hydraulic model is.
We have a consultant that typically runs a hydraulic model to tell us if the flows will be adequate for the area.
Well, we didn't do it the first time. So we're not allowed to review.
This is gonna be in the old
Not
zone,
gonna get into
correct?
it. Say that again?
This is gonna be in one of our high-pressure zones served by one of our water tanks.
We can talk about that a little offline.
Okay. All right, thanks very much.
Okay. Get John back.
So I guess we have the comments requested memo from the planning board and the engineer on 3 Heidi Street.
Yeah,
Want to see these copies?
I have this, sent this to my house. Yeah, anybody want to see Heidi?
Nope.
There's an email in your packet from Carl saying the minor revisions. No sewer, and it looks like there'll be a meter pit on the property because of the long service.
How do you do electronics on a meter pit?
Right now with the beacon, it's cellular endpoint. So the little cellular endpoint hangs on the top of the pit and translates to the cloud. We're having success so far.
Yeah, I gotta take a look at that stuff. I never got the information to access the data.
Beacon?
I never got that.
I'll make that a priority.
What did you ask for?
Oh, just how to get into the system,
Oh,
to see my water usage and,
yeah, well, we were talking about that. I'd like the same thing. I'd like somebody from the water department to come out
and
and
show
explain
you.
it. Yeah, and bring your cell phone and
Well, you know,
Demonstrate.
maybe we should have at the public library some night, some staff from the water department explaining exactly how the people, when they get the new system, can connect to it and find out
We
all the
can-
wonderful things.
We can make an agenda item for a future meeting if that makes it
Pardon
easier.
me?
An agenda item for a future meeting here?
No, this would just be, you know, where people could come in formal meeting to be addressed. In other words, they could they go to the library and on some night.
So
or
typically
some
on these meter
afternoon-
installs, we leave a lot of literature and phone numbers,
Yeah,
and
but,
phone support.
but people like hands-on, sort of. I'm thinking maybe the senior center, where, you know, a staff member could come in with a demonstration board, explain how that's a viable way to connect and how to connect and, I mean, people had trouble with,
Do we want
with
to
tuning in TVs
respond to
in
the
the old
planning board
days.
on Heidi?
Yeah. Well, let's just get rid of Heidi here. Do you have any problems with it, Bill?
No.
The only thing about Heidi is, I saw on the plans, there is a drainage right away. I couldn't, I didn't have a big enough map to see if we could encumber, you know, this is one single lot. So there's not much you can do with that. I don't think it connects much to any place. It's at the bend of the road there. But if there's any, again, I'll ask the director or the manager of Public Works, do you see any way we could that be benefit to the town, putting a right-of-way in?
A right-of-way
A utility easement.
for looping of utilities, water utilities?
Utility easement for, in case sewer goes up there,
I really don't think so in this particular situation.
so there's nothing we could,
I don't think so.
yeah, okay, because eventually they will probably get sewer.
Eventually.
And I just, okay.
No, if there's a sewer involved, they could always provide an easement then.
Well, it's a lot easier to do it now.
No, I know.
When you're digging up people's lawns and cutting down their trees, they tend to get upset.
Okay, so we're all set with Heidi? Want to vote on this, or what do we do?
Well, I'm just saying, the planning board was asking, do we have any comments?
Well, the only comment would be, that Mr. Fasano was curious if,
Or we could,
you'd have to suggest where the easement is, you know?
That's why I asked the town staff. I couldn't see any
Okay,
way
well,
to
then
I
connect
couldn't
it.
either, so.
So then
But I
we're
think-
okay with it.
I didn't have a
would-
big enough,
I don't see that there's a need for us to respond.
But the thing would be, what was the issue, about the antenna, about the height of it, or something, or what?
what? No.
The water meter pit,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a longer service, so we're gonna put a meter pit on the property line versus having the meter at the house.
Yeah, what's the distance like for that?
I believe it's over 100 feet, right, Rick? Use a meter pit?
100 feet.
Okay, I'm good.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll just say, you know, no objections or no comment, or accept the town engineer's comments. Okay, discussion,
Hey, can I just ask one thing, to the manager again? If I recall, weren't there some things about meter pits we were talking about that maybe that we shouldn't have them? If this driveway is 100 and something feet long, why do we need a meter pit? Why can't we put the meter in the house? And the line's running there anyway.
Right. So the purpose of the meter pit is to give an added incentive should that 100-plus foot long service leak. Okay, if the meter is located at the property line and that service is leaking, the owner of that property is on the hook to pay for that water. Therefore, there's a bigger incentive for them to go ahead and make the repair.
Well, you know, the meters are a constriction to the service line, generally.
There's very little, if any, pressure or friction loss through the meters.
But generally they are. I'm just curious why it wasn't moved up closer to the house.
Hey, if we were going to do that, we may as well just put the meter into the house.
And, you know, that was my, I wouldn't want my meter.
And the 100-foot comes from, a coil of copper is typically 100 feet long. So the thought process is to
Because you
use
have-
100 feet as, so you can have one solid piece with no unions in it.
You have a meter pit that can fill with water, that you're gonna have infiltration into the meter, if it's possible. If it's
Not with the new meter pits.
Well, yeah. But you
The
know
old-
what
the
I'm
older
talking
ones,
about.
the older ones, I agree. The vaults,
Yeah,
they're subject to flooding, but the newer ones are not.
I'm just saying that for my house, I'd want it in my cellar. That's it. But they want it in the driveway?
No,
On the way?
this board requires that if the service is 100 feet or longer, that the meter pit be installed.
Yeah, but I don't know, again, why is that required?
It's required because of the length of the service. Should that service leak, and the longer the service, I guess the more chance there is for it to leak, right? It's a longer service. So if there are unions cut into that service and it leaks, and...
But they're new meters and they don't leak.
No, I'm talking about the service itself. If that service is leaking on the homeowner's side of the meter, the homeowner is on the hook to pay for that water. Therefore, there's a huge incentive to get that leak fixed.
How far off the street is this pit?
Typically 5 to 10 feet.
How many-
Right at the edge of the layout where the property lines change.
Okay. All right, it's an answer, but.
And what it also does is it'll allow for the homeowner to use a different material other than copper. Less expensive, they could use plastic on their side of the meter. Fair enough?
Yeah, sure.
That's a big setback, 100 feet.
Yeah, I know. But,
Okay, public hearing date.
Yes, we want to talk about a rate hearing date. I looked up last year, the rate hearing was June 10th. I believe Terry threw a few dates out.
And
So I'm on the calendar here.
I would suggest the 9th, which is,
It's right
I won't be here the 23rd.
well,
Okay.
the reason I'm suggesting the 9th
June
is
9th
if
is
something
okay.
comes up,
June 9th is okay with you?
June 9th's fine with me.
Okay,
and it just allows, in case there is something that comes up, you got another crack at it before the fiscal year ends, so.
right.
I'll make a motion that we schedule the public rate hearing on June 9th.
Okay, second?
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300. Thank you.
Also, going forward, if you guys have any, I know we've talked about flat fee charges, sewer tiers. If you want us to model or anything to bring in preparation, please let us know in advance.
Flat fee charge on what?
We talked about capital fee charges in the past, or
Yeah.
some sort of,
Well, we're gonna get to I&I later on.
well, I'm just saying, in preparation of the rate hearing, if there's anything you want us to prep ahead of time and propose, if you want to see different scenarios, let us know exactly so we can get them ready for you.
One of the things that I don't, not necessarily for the rate hearing, but we'd like to be able to figure out on this Norwood proposal, we're gonna be asked at some point, for the $5 million, what do we have to do on an annualized basis with the ratepayers? What kind of a capital improvement fee do we need to produce, for that, given the tiers?
So you're proposing a capital fee just towards
For
that,
For the
just towards that?
$250,000 a year, out of 8,900 customers or 9,000 customers, what kind of, how might we structure a fee?
Okay, that makes sense, okay. We can definitely scenario that.
Okay, then I&I fee, Mr. Festno.
Yeah, I got some information on the I&I fee. I always thought that was the consent decree that the court issued on our I&I. I asked for the actual documentation, find out it's a settlement agreement. The settlement agreement is between the contractor and the Sewer and Water Commission, basically. And what it says is that this particular contractor has an agreement with the town to pay a certain amount of money, and the town will return him a certain amount of money. But when you read this agreement, it talks about the amount of $2,992 in full satisfaction of all amounts due for the infiltration and inflow fee assessed for sewer connection. All right, so this does no way outlaw sewer charges vis-a-vis I&I. But I found out that we're not charging anybody I&I. And I read, we had a straw poll at one point, but what I'm suggesting is that we reform this into something, because it's untenable to have people using this infrastructure we have that all the citizens of Walpole paid for, and these developments come in and they use that system and they pay an entrance fee and everything, but they don't pay anything because they've added. And the whole point of the 4-to-1 ratio, which on the face of it doesn't make a lot of sense, it does, because sewers run basically normally at about a third full. However, as more and more people come on, they stress that system so it becomes more and more full, basically. Then, with the I&I added to that, you have sewage flowing in the streets. And that happened the last time we had a 100-year storm. It was about 10 years ago, I think. We were the only town in the metropolitan area that did not have sewer surcharges. Did you know that? And that's a feather in your cap, because every other town had them. Every other city had them. But Walpole did not, because we had used our I&I funds for what it was meant to do, and that is to make sure that we limited I&I, which is influent
Infiltration.
in infiltration. So, I don't want us to see us fall behind, because right now, the ratepayers are paying every time one of these developments go online.
But
Because
you're assuming that there is that
I'm
infiltration goes on
assuming that
forever, and that
inflow-
no one can ever
infiltration-
solve it.
So,
It always comes.
so the thing with the settlement agreements is that it was determined that because developers were being specifically targeted and the remainder of the general population was not, it was an unlawful tax. So.
When you get a chance, I'd like to.
So therefore, there's nothing wrong with an I&I fee. However, it needs to be charged to everybody, every user.
No, no, this is where they should have argued this in court. That's not true, because the people who own the system now have paid for it. And it's the people who are coming onto the system who have to pay, because they're adding more fluid to the system and causing a potential problem. And that's what this agreement doesn't address. This is not a court. The court never decided this. This is just an agreement between the town and a construction company. No. They're talking about different types of fruit here. These are apples and oranges they're talking about. This is an infrastructure entrance
But
fee
I believe
that needs to be maintained.
no, I fully understand what you're saying, but
Well,
I believe the attorneys came before you and told you
And
that it was
the
not,
attorney came
it
before
was not
me.
defensible.
The attorney came before me, and people who watched it said, Was she your attorney? Because she was arguing the other argument. So, no, it's quite, anybody can understand it. You have a sewer, it has a capacity. You have people coming to connect to that sewer. They need to pay I because sewers are, they're fluid, they break, they leak, they do things, they need to be maintained to a certain extent. And the people who are adding more sewage are stressing the system. So they need to pay, not the people who built it. They built it to service themselves.
Well, they sold their homes and moved away, though.
Yeah, but
I
then
mean,
they sold the homes, that's right.
The two fallacies in what you're saying is,
Okay.
one, you're assuming, it's actually less water is going through than did in 2018. So there's no increase in sewer. People are conserving, they're not using as much water, so not as much water is going through the sewer. So there's no increase or stress on the sewer. Secondly, you're assuming that someone can always chase and find some infiltration problem, which is untrue. It's a zero-sum game. Someday, everything's gonna be perfect, and there's gonna be no infiltration, so it's impossible for them to do that. So those two things don't justify what you're saying. Everybody, it's a capital system. It's like getting on the airplane. You're paying your piece. When you're done with the flight, you're done. When people move into a house or Walpole or build a house, they're here for the flight. When they leave, somebody else takes over, whatever. It isn't like the founders of Walpole built a sewer, so everybody else that comes through the toll gate of Mr. Fasanello has to pay a fee. No,
Why not?
because it's part of the capital operation. It's part of what they're paying for when they paid the town of Walpole, to be here.
They're stressing of the.
No, I don't think they are.
Well,
They're using less water.
okay.
There's less sewer, not more, being
If they're
used.
not stressing, how come we're the only town that didn't have a surcharge? Well, stop that. You're
Oh.
annoying me banging the microphone.
And I'm just trying to get an
Just
attention.
leave the microphone alone. If you want to talk, but don't bang it.
All right, Bill's turn.
I don't think that we should be charging an I fee for new people who get on the system. If the system can't handle them, then it's up to them to increase the size of the pipes or whatever. This addresses leaks that can occur anywhere else in the town. You're maintaining the system, and so that's why everybody should be paying for maintaining the system. If the system itself is overloaded because of a new house being put on, it's up to that individual to upgrade the system to handle their additional flow. A new house is not causing I. It is just the thing that happens to older pipes, and no reason that a house being built in North Walpole, West Walpole, or whatever is paying an I fee, which will be used to correct some leak that's somewhere over in East Walpole on some old clay pipe. We have a program to address it. We participate in the MWRA's phase, I don't know what phase we're up to, Rick?
14.
14. So we do have funds for it, but it's something that is maintaining the entire system, and that's why it's, to me, does not require, or is it justified to force a new developer to pay for just regular maintenance of the system. If they're overloading the system, and the entrance fee is where you are buying into it, that's where you buy into the system. This is a separate item.
If you
And
read
in
this-
these roads, the town doesn't pay for any of these sewer lines these developers put in. They put all the sewer lines
They
in.
do.
So they pay for it.
If you read this agreement, the contractor doesn't say he's not gonna pay I. He is gonna pay I. In this agreement, he's agreed to pay I. He just didn't like the idea.
We
that he-
addressed this,
I'm talking now.
we addressed
I'm
this at a
talking, would
rate
you
clearing.
please?
You
I
just
have the
keep
floor.
going on and on and on, and no one
Okay.
ever gets a chance.
When
This
I'm
was
finished, you can
dealt.
talk.
Okay, go
He-
ahead, Pat.
He agreed to pay a certain portion of the I. It's right here. And his problem was he couldn't understand why he had to pay 4 times what, where did that come from? Was that arbitrary and capricious?
No.
How do you justify the 4-to-1 ratio? Anybody can justify the 1-to-1 ratio, I think, if you're a reasonable person. But his problem was he thought that was way too much, that he wasn't responsible for 4 times, what he put in. And that's what this agreement is about. But somehow, somebody thought this was wrong, that you couldn't charge for any I&I. It's the ratio that's is at the point here. It's not the actual program of I&I. And I'm surprised my brother commissioners think that, people can come onto the system and just use it without being responsible for what they're putting in.
Bill?
The change to the I&I rate where we changed it to 0 was at a rate hearing, and you can see it was like June 8th, as a result of the issue that Pat is talking about. We were not attempting to address that particular settlement. We were saying, okay, based on what we've heard, and as I've mentioned, it is general maintenance to the system, and therefore did not feel that there should be levied particularly onto new entrance fees. Anything that was caused by adding a new development where the system couldn't is addressed not by an I&I fee, but rather the entrance fee.
Weren't we given legal advice that wouldn't stand up?
Right, and you have to have an I&I program. We have one. We have a way of funding it, and it is funded through the MWRA phases, and it's borrowed money at a low, reduced rate, and but the entire sewer folks.
Right, so to that point, that's a good point, because that satisfies the requirement that everybody within the town pay. So anybody that's connected to the sewer under the MWRA financial assistance, the loan portion of that agreement is built into the sewer rate. So therefore, every user in town pays for it.
Yeah, that sounds really reasonable, doesn't it? But it's not, because now you've put this on the backs of the people. The public now is bearing the burden, and it shouldn't be the people, it shouldn't be the public bearing the burden. It should be the people and the people who are doing these projects. They're the ones making the money, and they're using the sewer, they're surcharging it, and they're responsible. If the sewer's running correctly, we know it's running correctly because we didn't have the problem. Okay. If you start putting in more and more connections, and you don't take out any of the problems we have in that sewer line, it's going to be a failure. And if you put that failure, if you make the public responsible for that, that's really unfair. It should be the people who are making the money, who are getting the advantage. They should pay for what they're doing.
I understand.
You put a gallon in, you take a gallon out.
So if in your upcoming correspondence, you'll see that the peer review studies that were done for the proposed project on East Street, you'll see that we had system capacity studies done. Now, if there's a deficiency noted in one of those studies, water and or sewer, I would imagine that the board would say to the developer, you need to take care of that deficiency or you can't connect. So
But that's extreme.
why wouldn't?
Yeah, before that, you mean the sizing?
Right.
Yeah, well, that's the ultimate result of what's going on here. You don't want to get to that point if you're going to, Okay, then, you know, the entrance fee should be much higher then. If you believe that you're going to overload the sewer, you should make it bigger, rather than just try to fix the problems.
Right, so we try to address the overloading of the sewer.
You can do it by making it bigger.
We try to.
Yeah, which is
well,
much, much more
Not
expensive.
necessarily. We try to address the overloading of the sewer by having these capacity studies done prior to allowing somebody to connect. Now, a single-family residence is not of concern. 4 houses, not of concern. But 120, 200 units, that's a concern.
Well, what's happening in the town of Walpole now?
Right, and you have, like I said, in upcoming correspondence, you'll see there was a capacity study done.
And I just hope we don't miss the boat, because I'm surprised we weren't charging anything. Because this didn't say throw the baby out with the bathwater.
They pretty
It didn't
much
say
did.
that.
Pretty much did in my
It
interpretation.
said you need to look at that ratio. So we need to look at the ratio. And if we can justify the
That,
ratio.
I don't know what agreement you're looking at there, but there were 3 of them in total, right? There were
Yep.
three. Okay. I don't recall the ratio being the issue. I recall the fee being the issue. And I believe at the time, the ratio was 2.3 to 1, and that's when it was disputed.
We try to be reasonable, and we reduced it. I remember that, right? And I thought we had it. And all of a sudden, the town basically made a private agreement with this contractor. I don't know why that happened.
So the town was this board. This board authorized signing those agreements,
Yeah,
agreed.
you won't see my signature on there. If you look at it, and that's another whole story that we need to get into. They had an attempt to sign us personally on that document, which doesn't make any sense at all.
I don't believe any of the commissioners signed it until such time that it was voted by the full board.
Well, I'm not sure on that. I didn't get a signed copy. I just got the regular copy here. And then I noticed that other contractors picked up on this, put in the exact same wording.
They all had the same attorney.
You've seen those?
Yeah, I sent them to you.
Right, okay. But the point is that there should have been I&I all along. Maybe not I think we did a good job getting it down to 3 point, whatever it was.
So, as
5.4.
Commissioner Rabbit said, we still do have an I&I program. We're obligated by regulation to have an inflow and infiltration removal program.
Somebody-
And we have that.
Are they paying?
The ratepayers are paying.
Yeah, not the ratepayers.
Once they
People
connect to
who are
the sewer,
doing-
once those developers connect to the sewer, they become a ratepayer,
Yeah.
The
But
other
they should,
problem-
are they paying when they enter the sewer though?
just through the connection
To
fees.
do just the connection? They're
Correct.
not paying, that their potential
they're not
to
paying a
overflow the
separate-
sewer is gonna surcharge the sewer.
You are
rate.
correct. They are not paying a
That's
separate
not
I&I
right.
fee.
The other problem that we had is that the developer had the choice of taking gallons out or paying. And at a certain point, because our system is so tight, we just kept accumulating money that we never could use, as well as the fact that it is a maintenance item, not something that is related to the entrance, so. Mr. Chairman, I think
I
we've
think
beaten
we
it
have.
to death.
The other analogy, you could compare yourself to other utilities and how they do it, and they don't take that approach.
Well,
When
we
people
were-
hook up to the grid or a substation or any other area of utilities, gas pipelines, they don't do that. I mean, so
Except isn't it true that when we put in the pumping station, the electric company had us pay an extra amount? Remember when we put in one of the treatment
We did pay additional
plants?
fees.
We had to pay, I think we talked about that the electric company made us pay for, I forget what it was.
It
But
was,
they did.
I believe it was primarily associated with
Mr.
their
Chairman,
design.
you are not correct on that.
No, that's like the developer, that's like the developer, down on South Street. they're gonna put all that piping in for all the streets and all the sewer lines, and we're not gonna pay a penny. And that's the same thing.
You will make an analogy with the electric company.
Yeah.
We did have to
A
pay.
gas company, whoever.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what, I don't know
When
what
they
that
put the plant
situation
in, we
was.
had to pay some type of more money. That's all I remember.
Well, you didn't increase the power lines and the substations and the. all
I think
that.
they did,
Couldn't.
because we had the osmosis things there, what were they called? I forget the name of the devices we put in there.
The strip towers?
Oh,
Yeah, the one with the train, the Canadian system.
Oh, that was the Calgon.
Yeah, and did they use more electricity to push the water through those things?
The pumps had to work a little harder, yes.
All right, and we paid for that, because it was a special thing. So it's just, we can't.
Well, he's got the
balance this on
example
the back
coming
of the
up. Why
public
don't you talk
all the
about the
time.
919 East Street, because that's the example, right there. He did a study. Steve, you want to give us any?
Yeah, Scott, you want to pull up the 919 Toll Brothers? We can pull up the whole overview. So back in September, Toll Brothers, through RJOC Associates, approached Rick. They wanted to do their due diligence on this development. Just a little background on it. It looks like it's going to be 9 4-story buildings, residential multifamily, 102 units. They're estimating their water use at a little over 30,000 gallons per day, sewer use a little over 28,000 gallons per day. After they approached Rick, we had Wright Pierce do a hydraulic water model. The results are in your folder. Summary, no static impacts. They didn't have enough data for fire flow numbers. Wright Pierce went ahead and used 5,000 gallons per minute. Over on East Main Street was no problem at 20 PSI. Maple Street, only 1,900 gallons per minute at 20 PSI. I think mainly because it's a 6-inch water main over there. On the sewer side, Weston and Sampson did the analysis. Page 4 has a summary. The bottom line, based on the existing data and calculated theoretical hydraulic capacities, the sewers appear capable of handling the proposed sewer discharge from this development as proposed in the memo. So up on the screen, we have the area. We got East Street on the right, Maple Street on the left, 1A on the bottom. You can kind of see the properties kind of highlighted in the middle. I think we have a breakdown, Scott, of all the those 9 buildings too in one of the sketches. There you go.
Could you blow that up a little bit?
So again, this developer's just doing their due diligence beforehand. They wanted to be sure that we could supply the water and supply the sewer from this development.
Why is there a difference between the water use and the sewage discharge? Are they gonna have irrigation?
So, looking at the memo, this is very preliminary, but they were just going off Title V calculations.
So, but why is there how do they justify using X amount of water and not discharging X amount of water?
Because I think like most buildings, we don't expect all the water going in the sewer.
Where's it going?
I guess handheld watering.
Well, I asked you if they had irrigation or
I
something.
believe it is probably, the difference is probably associated with irrigation and car washing.
Bill?
I found that this kind of interesting. I looked at the 30,855 gallons per day. And if you recall, a couple of meetings ago, I worked up how much does the existing apartments use, and got it down to per unit. And when you take that, 30,000 gallons per day, change it over to cubic feet, and then say, all right, how much would that be in a quarter based on what are existing, both, 95 West Street, a new one in Liberty Village, the ones over on Cricket Lane, as well as a number of the older ones. That estimate is like 4 times the amount of water that our existing apartment buildings are using per quarter.
Right, so those are based on Title V.
Right, I understand. So I'm just, one thing, it looks like a lot of water. It is a lot of water, but I think using Title V's, it just doesn't seem to apply to the apartments, at least who lives in Walpole in apartments. I only bring it up as just a point of interest. I know that they have to use something, and Title V is a good thing that, people accept. So it's just, I just bring it up as an interesting note, that when you do the arithmetic and compare it to real life, there was 14 or I think 14 apartments who use Walpole water. How much are they using per unit? And figure out, okay, 102 units being proposed, and you come up, there's like a difference, a factor of 4 times as much as
Yeah.
that figure. So I don't think that we're going to see that amount of water. And as I read the thing, it doesn't appear that, other than the fire flows, they don't see. that
Fire
this is
flows are
really
not
an
gonna be,
issue.
fire flows are not gonna be an issue. There's in excess of 5,000 gallons a minute at 20 pounds residual pressure
Yeah. So I
at
just-
that site, so
Does this fit into this MBTA
that I don't know, Joe.
zone?
Yeah, that, it would.
Yeah, so that would be compliant with,
Yeah, so I think the main thing here is that both of those capacity studies that we had conducted, that the developer paid for, indicate that neither the sewer or the water systems would be heavily impacted by the construction of this project. So, that being said, is the board okay if we issue the will serve letter?
yeah. Any discussion on that?
So they're asking, I didn't.
So
quite
what
understand.
they want is, I would imagine is for the people that are financing their project.
Right.
They need a commitment saying that the town of Walpole will provide sewer and water utilities to this site.
And I think we have, so I'm not sure, I guess I was wondering, what were you looking, or what are they looking? Are they looking for the board to vote something, or?
They're looking for the town of Walpole to write them a letter saying that we will
It's a
serve.
will serve letter, Bill. It just means we agree. that-
We've done it in the
Well, I
past, it's
think-
just,
I think that,
We'll serve if they do everything the way they're supposed to and follow all the rules.
Exactly, pay the
planning
fees
zoning
and-
all
exactly.
that. If we
Yeah.
don't, we don't serve them.
so I don't know, do we need to take a vote, or just,
Well, why don't we vote?
you can, or you don't really have to, it's just,
that's why.
I'll make the motion that we send
a
can
will
serve or
letter,
will serve letter
And I'll
on
second
this
it.
project. Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, they're gonna pay INI?
no,
Yeah, okay.
not unless you reinstitute the fee.
Yeah.
You being the board, not you personally, Patrick.
So, yeah, but us voting will serve.
They'll pay all
doesn't
applicable,
exempt them
all
from any
fees that are
action,
applicable at the time of connection.
Because we have a rate hearing coming up in June.
So if you institute an inflow and infiltration fee,
They're gonna have to.
by the time they go to build it, they'll pay it.
Right.
They haven't started anything yet. They haven't
They're
built any
interested,
committees
do you
or
have
anything.
the capacity? And they're not even asking about what your entrance fee is or whatever. They just want to know, can I physically do it, and will your water system, when I turn the tap on, will water come? And when I flush the toilet, will it go? And the answer is yes in both cases. So we haven't, we've
Okay.
made a motion.
So we have it's moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain on this until, I get more information on the INI business.
Okay, 201. Thank you. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Meeting, room assignment, there's a room assignment here for town meeting.
It's just an FYI.
Yeah, so we'll have you'll schedule a meeting for us in case they need us to do anything.
Yeah, this is just a room for you guys to use that night.
What's that?
This is a room to use for that night of
Yeah.
town meeting, yeah. So you
Yeah.
guys are room 142.
If we want to use the room, we have to have a meeting scheduled.
Posted meeting.
We may not have a meeting, right?
We may not,
But they'll do it.
but
Okay.
if,
I
but
get
if they
it.
want us,
Yeah,
if something at the last minute, they want us to meet or change something,
yeah.
and we have a room, we have to, it
We'll
has
get
to
it
be
posted
posted.
for that.
That's all.
Okay.
We'll probably have to take a formal vote at some point on those 3 articles that Jim spoke of that,
Yeah.
you know, are really formalities. One, do we not collect enough money, which generally ends up being a no action, and then one for the sewer and one for the water
Right.
for FY '26.
Okay, so then we have the data from the water pumped. Usually Pradeep is very interested in that. He's not here tonight, but if I can find it. How do things look, Bill, okay?
Looks okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, look,
I think we're.
you want to skip the MWRA connection? You want anything you want to say on that first?
You guys voted to move forward with the proposal for the design last meeting. Right now, us and Rick, we're working through a timeline, hopefully for fall town meeting 2025, for a town meeting vote and engineering, admin, construction costs. So that's kind of where we're moving forward right now.
Okay, well, I think that last time, just to reaffirm, I had suggested that I would send a letter to Jim Johnson and to the town administrator of Norwood confirming our vote, so that Norwood knows that we plan on going ahead, and the town administrator knows the conditions that we voted in agreement. All right? All right, so let's see, and then we have Jarvis Farm. Anything on Jarvis Farm, Steve?
Yes, a couple things. We finally got the survey completed. It's not, it should be the Jarvis Farm survey. There's a hard copy to pass around, but we got the whole property surveyed. If you zoom in the middle area, you'll see that there's quite a large electrical easement. There's the cabins right there. There's the pond. And then a little bit of open area, which would be a potential parking lot.
And what's
The open area, what, on the top?
What's the status on the parking lot?
Well, we got the survey finished now.
What is
So, now, you know, if it's a project to move forward with, you know, we gotta look at potential areas and,
How does this interact with the parking lot?
well, now we know where we can put it.
Huh?
Now we know if we wanna go forward the parking lot, where we can put it.
Okay.
So you can see where it says approximate location of Hirschman Pond, the area above it, right, kind of where it says the Town of Walpole book and page number. Right above that is where the electrical easement hits. So we're gonna be a little constricted between those 2 points.
Now, that's interesting. I think I brought this up before, but those electrical easements are very old, and they're very thin in terms of restrictions. I mean, I know places in certain towns, including our budding towns, where actual homes are built within those easements.
They can't.
So, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's legal.
So, I don't know what the restrictions are, but it may not be, I mean, I look at the easement for the McMorgan's parking lot, and the whole restaurant is in the easement.
With the transmission mains?
Yeah. So, I don't know that we'd be inhibited on a parking lot from that easement at all. You know, from having the parking lot under within the easement, but it's probably, is that 100 feet?
Says
Scott,
it says 150.
Is that half of it, or is it 300 wide total, 150 half of it, or is that 150 the total?
150 feet across.
Okay, 150 feet across. So I wouldn't think or assume that we couldn't be within that easement for a parking area, if that's what, this, I thought you were gonna show us the test sites for the,
Well, you can build on an easement, you
Yeah.
just take the risk. I know in my neighborhood there's an easement, and people have built on it, and they understand that if they build on that, they take the risk that the easement be activated, they would lose that structure.
well, the easement specifies what the power line, the power company has to be able to get.
Well, these
to
are
the- Well, I'm not
drain
talking
easements.
about the homes, I'm just saying for a parking lot purpose, as long as they can get their service trucks to the stanchions to be able to correct the wire or do something, that's all they have a right to. They'd have a right for other uses of the property. If it's a parking lot, that isn't gonna inhibit them in any way from doing what they're doing. So I don't think there's any risk there.
Yeah, all right.
So is it the board's wish that we engage a consultant for a possible parking lot design and related possible stormwater on it?
I think the other members have to be here for that,
Okay.
because I think that Jeff and Pradeep are not too
Yeah.
hot about a parking lot there. I think we're more accepting, but I thought you were gonna show us those rings there. Are those relating to test pits or anything for the,
This is just a survey.
Sure, can you show them on that lot where the proposed wells they're gonna drill? Where Bristol's gonna drill the whole.
Oh, so it's not on here, but we will be, if you kind of think of like the farm right here at the cabins, we're gonna be looking at this area right here, inside here.
adjacent to the pond?
Yes, like if you picture the pond, kind of cutting the pond in half, it's gonna be closer to in here.
That's good.
The next piece over at Jarvis Farm, there's a stormwater project going on through the Conservation Commission. We pulled the plans together. I think we go on the second page, Scott. The third page. No, next page down.
Is the stormwater doing damage now?
There are some heavy rain washouts, yes.
What's it washing away?
Washing away dirt, sediment,
Into where?
into the pond.
Into our well fields?
If you drive down there, you'll see the roads often washed out, the access road. So,
Sometimes that's not a bad thing.
part of this project, there's gonna be an under-road drainage redone. Is that a good map to look at? Maybe go down one more, Scott. Is there another page? Yes, that's a better one.
So this is gonna ensure access to the area?
No, it's gonna improve stormwater drainage in the area.
And will that?
So, on the far right, you'll see a proposed 8-inch drainage pipe. That pipe is getting redone. If you move to the left, there's gonna be a bioretention pond, where it says proposed 12-inch area drain. And that's gonna be on the opposite side of the pond and collect water uphill. And then it's gonna pipe under the road and drain towards the pond.
So, is conservation spending our money doing this, or who's paying for this?
Part of this is an MVP grant. It's grant money related and water and sewer money related.
It's what was the first one? It's what?
MVP grant.
MBP,
What's that stand
municipal property.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, vulnerability to protection, I believe.
Okay.
So this is just one avenue of the MVP grants that we're assessing. There's also electricity grants, all sorts of municipality grants.
Okay, so, all right, so didn't we just, and I'll, Bill, you just finish my thought. I thought we had more or less concluded that we should probably leave this somewhat passive recreation and not go developing Jarvis Farm, at least till we heard about any water resource opportunity. So this seems like we're moving ahead with development of Jarvis Farm for whatever, I don't know.
So this is not actually a development, this is just a stormwater remediation under the MS4 permit. Okay, this particular area takes all the runoff from Morningside Drive.
Oh, okay.
So
All
salt,
right. Yeah, I
sand,
forgot about
other
that.
contaminants. So this just brings it through the back into the bioretention basin, cleans it, and then discharges
Keeps
to
it
the plant.
environmentally
Right.
straight, yeah. Bill?
I'm sure that we're required to do that. This-
We are.
But otherwise, I'm just looking and thinking, you know, it's been for 30, 40 years or whatever, but I understand we.
Mother Nature took care
Well,
of it.
this is
We're
one,
required to do it.
this is one of 3 that are currently underway.
Yeah,
This one, Department of Public Works on the other side, and there'll be one at the town hall.
Okay. All right, that explains it. Anything else, Steve?
That is it on Jarvis Farm.
Okay. Well, Bill, we'll skip the meter to cash report. You want to make your motion?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second that.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
300. Thank you very much for.
And